watching SKST Radio.
Well, welcome to SKST Radio, Real Talk with Cammie Grayson and Friends. I'm Cammie Grayson, and he is...
Monster.
And our special guest today is a classmate of mine from high school, Gloria Fobbs. Welcome, Gloria! How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. Just tell us about your girl. Tell us about yourself.
Well, let's see. I am, like you said, your classmate from LG Kingston High School, the best of the West, right?
That's right.
I am a native Dallas site, I guess is what we're called. I went to SMU, got my bachelor's degree, got my master's from UT Arlington in social work, and I'm just excited to be here. I'm a trainer. That's what I do. I work for a medical managed care organization for public sector healthcare, and I'm a trainer manager right now.
Nice. Look at you doing it big in big Texas. You go, girl. I'm so proud of you. I mean, I'm grateful that you've always kept in touch and you're keeping the class reunion thing going on. And, I'm just so proud of you. So keep up the great work, because we drop it off like flies. So it's good to have someone keeping that glue together,
Yeah. And I'm proud of you. Your show and all of the things that you do for the community and different stuff. I'm really excited about that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Each state I move to, I try my best to give back to those communities, because they welcome me. And like I was explaining to you earlier, what I do, I actually go into these different states and I have to find the community. I have to get in with them in order to bring them to the facilities and things like that. So I have to be involved in the community, and it's what you do. It's what you have to do. It's giving back to your community tenfold,
Right.
And so, well, thank you, Mr. Foster. Thank you. So this is actually part 2 of what we discussed a few weeks ago when we were talking about trafficking, human trafficking, and we were talking about kidnapping. And so Gloria actually chimed in on the comments, and by her being a social worker, she had a lot of input that she can give us. And so I thought I would go. I went on to YouTube and found an article that was a couple of weeks ago with actually a lady that I actually know. Her name is Clarice Tinsley and Sean Rabb, both of them. I know them personally. And so to go back and see this article, it was kind of like, wow, So I'm going to play that real quick. And then when we play that, then we'll get into the actual topic. Okay, guys?
Okay.
All right. Figure out how to get it on here. There we go. Y'all know I'm bad at this part.
Dallas police, along with Homeland Security, broke up a human trafficking ring after a months-long investigation. Police say they were preying on women who are not from this country, promising work, forcing them into prostitution. Fox 4's Sean Rabb joins us live with more. Sean.
Clarice, 2 alleged traffickers were arrested. 5 young women pulled out of apartments. The many months-long investigation spearheaded by the Dallas Police Vice Unit,
who received outcries from 2 very brave victims that came forward and talked about being forced into prostitution.
Friday, Dallas police run search and arrest warrants at this apartment complex at 5930 Arapahoe. 2 women, Arely Lopez Guzman and Fabiola Cardenas, arrested on compelling prostitution, trafficking persons charges, and more. Lopez Guzman's bonded out of jail. Cardenas is on an immigration hold. 5 women were rescued in 3 locations, not U.S. citizens, women duped into prostitution.
There are people out there that will take advantage of those that are the most vulnerable, those that have food insecurities, housing insecurities. There are people out there looking for jobs, and people will take advantage of that. So they were lured through social media for a job.
And they get caught up with a group that, begins by giving them attention, making them feel valued and over time, that relationship turns and that person winds up on the weak side of a power structure.
Dr. Timothy Bray is director of the UT Dallas Institute for Urban Policy Research, working with Dallas police to identify what leads to human trafficking.
So it's not just a policing problem, and it's not just a court's problem. We know that many of these victims encounter you and me during the day, but we don't know the signs, we don't see the symptoms, and we don't raise the red flag when someone's in trouble. So if we can increase awareness, we can decrease the ability of these networks to spread, right? What we want to do is make Dallas not a profitable place to engage in this business.
But for the bravery of the victims to reach out for help, they'd likely still be held, trafficked to strangers for unwanted sex.
It is never easy to have someone sit down with us and talk about some of the worst moments in their life. Unfortunately, we have these victims come and tell us their stories.
Now, these ladies, two of these ladies did just that. On the screen now, the National Human Trafficking Hotline number, 1-888-373-7888. It's always answered. Texas, second only to California in the number of sex trafficking cases. Lieutenant Rivera says there are more arrests being made, and that's a good thing because of greater education and awareness. But she says there's a big problem in Dallas-Fort Worth, and here it is, Clarice. She says the demand for sex has always been the same.
Police arrested more suspects.
Okay, see, now, this is why this is a big topic. And that was a national hotline number. So therefore, it's not contained in just one area. It's a problem for all of us. We all, like you said, we all have to raise awareness because this is serious. And you got these young kids that think that they're adults and they're really not, and they fall into the wrong situation, wrong person, and look where they end up at. So Gloria, what's your take on this as a social worker?
Well, I think that probably the biggest issue around human trafficking is kind of a lack of knowledge about what it really is, and people thinking that it's not an issue that happens where they live. And as we saw just from that news clip, it really does happen where we live. They said Arapahoe. You know, I'm in the Dallas area. That's where I live.
Yeah.
A lot of times people think, you know, if they watch movies, if you've ever seen the movie Taken, right? That was had to do with human trafficking. They were kidnapped, but they were overseas. So a lot of times people think that this is just something that happens overseas, that it can't happen to me. It can't happen to anyone that I know. So one of the critical pieces is defining what it is and helping people to understand that this is not something that you are very far removed from. They're always finding people, you know, they're always making the arrest. Probably 6 months ago, maybe, there was a post that was on Facebook and on Instagram. A woman was trying to locate her daughter who had been taken from Dallas to Houston. And she was saying that, you know, they are holding my daughter, and I've received these messages that we're not going to let her go. And there were so many people who were saying, oh, that's not true, she just left or whatever. So there's an issue of not knowing what it is, people not believing that it really occurs and that it happens in our area. Wow.
Well, you know, and she never, it's still going on, huh? The baby never.
Actually, it took probably 3 weeks, I think, and her daughter was released. But I don't remember the exact details on how she got her back. But in reading all of the comments that were being made under the post, it was disheartening. You know, so many people felt like the girl was lying, that this wasn't really happening. She was about 19, and she had gone to someplace hanging out with some friends, and then she just didn't come home. And she sent her mom a text message saying, you know, they won't let me go. And then they were posting photographs images on Instagram of her where she was smiling and all of that. And it's like, well, people were like, well, she's laughing, she's having a good time, so she really wants to be there. But think about it. How many times are you going to be held against your will? And when they say smile, you're not going to smile.
You're going to do what they say do, especially if they got a gun or a knife to you. You're going to do exactly what they say do.
You do.
And sometimes it's just mental. Sometimes it's just mental. If that person has mental control over you, it's just suggestion. Hey, well, we're not going anywhere right now. We're going to stay right here. Come on and chill with me. Come on. What's wrong? You don't want to be around me anymore? I'll take you home later. I got you. All those things happen. Sometimes when we with people who are a little bit controlling, that happens in our everyday lives. Sure. Where we held a little longer than what we all really want to be there, and that's happened to each of us. It can happen. It truly can.
Yeah. So my thing is, some of them are kidnapped in a strange way that, bag over the head or something like that. Some kids are kidnapped. I've been seeing like some different little skits type things that they do, or they point out what was going on. Someone saw something about to happen. I saw one where this little girl was walking down the street and a car pulled up. He passed the little girl and she was still walking. And then the little girl ended up walking to like the little convenience store. Well, the guy was going to get the girl when she got ready to walk back. But the convenience store lady, have you seen that one? The convenience store lady saw the guy pull up and she made the little girl stay a little bit longer. And then I think go ahead.
One of the things is that's one way that it happens, but there are other ways that are much more subtle that people don't realize, and those are the things that I think we need to educate our youth about. Like Rome was saying, that someone may keep you for a little longer than you intended. So we see a lot of the forced kidnapping and the trafficking that comes from that. But there's also the trafficking where you are groomed by someone that you have come into contact with, and that person becomes your friend. A lot of times that even happens in just prostitution, that you are groomed. Here is someone who is your friend. You've been talking to them, you've been laughing and, having a good time. You've been hanging out, all of these things. And before you know it, you are engaging in something that it's like, this is not what I wanted to do. And this is not what I signed up for. And it's being held over your head. There are
Kelly.
Yes.
And for him, he primarily used the individuals for his own purposes, but it's still trafficking.
It was still trafficking.
It's still the same. There are instances. Go ahead, Ron.
Oh, I'm sorry. So people will literally start to, like I said, speak to your weaknesses. They see that you're a little downtrodden, or you may need food to eat. Come on over. I'll feed you. You look nice today. Oh my goodness. Oh, what you mean? No, you look nice today. Look, I bought this shirt for you. Come on over. And each time you go over, you're gaining a little bit more trust. Next time you drink something, you fall asleep. But you're comfortable because this person, I'm okay. I'll stay for a little bit of time. And you may just be kept for a long period of time. Certain people will come around. I've heard so many stories. It's so many different scenarios that can happen and that has happened. I was speaking to you, Cammie, about the young lady who was lured because she was an artist. She was an arts major. And what I said, I think it was New York. And she, this woman, it was another female, asked her, I'm interested in your art. I'd like you to come down to put something together specifically for my home. And she sees, okay, this woman has, she's doing well for herself. So why wouldn't I go there? Plus, she's going to pay for my trip there. She's going to pay for the supplies. Okay, well, great. So she gets there and she started feeling uncomfortable. The story goes where she reaches out to her family. She reaches out to her family, say, listen, I need someone to come get me. I don't, This doesn't feel right. The last footage of her before she was actually found was she was in a nail shop somewhere, and that was just through the footage. But see, the bad part about what happened with her is it was actually reported, and her picture, black woman, nice looking young lady, that's not the point, but they put her on the wrong reporting network, like she was wanted instead of
Yeah.
taken. Or yeah, did you see that story? It makes no
No
sense.
sense. It makes no sense. Well, I mean, it goes back to our situation with the little girl that we know that got
Hmm.
kidnapped a
Hmm.
couple of weeks ago. That family reported it and
Hmm.
everything, and the police department didn't report it. They
Mm.
they didn't write.
Take
They
it
didn't do the
serious.
report.
They're so busy. They're so
So
short-handed. This was something. This behavior. If they go into the system and see that there were reports from these individuals before, it's so many. It just makes no sense. It makes no sense. It's almost like that crying wolf thing.
Mm.
That
yeah,
crying wolf thing. But we must take everything serious. Every time someone says they're in distress, they're in distress. It doesn't
Right.
matter. It doesn't matter.
Well, we have
but
to take it seriously and believe them to start with, do the
Mhm.
investigation. And then if we find out that they were crying wolf, then we find out they're crying wolf.
right.
But we have to start from the point of, if this person says I'm in distress, they are in distress, and we're going to investigate that. Many times for the young individuals, the teenagers, the young adults, there are things where they're recruited, like I said, by people that they befriend. It could be
Hmm.
someone that they know or that they met. And like you were talking about, you go somewhere and you kind of get comfortable. You've been visiting this person because this is your friend, right?
Yeah.
This is someone you know is your friend. And so you get very comfortable. You may start drinking and you're partying with them, and they may record you. You may agree to a sexual encounter. They
Mhm.
record it, and then they hold that over your head. And those are things that have happened. There was a story of a young lady several years ago. She was trafficked for a while, but not kidnapped, just trafficked in her neighborhood. Her family, her father moved around for his job, so the family moved frequently. They were in a new city. She was at a new school. She met some people, befriended them, went to a party. Was just kind of hanging out. Ended up having a sexual encounter with a guy that she had been talking to. Someone recorded it, threatened to expose it, to share the recording. And this is her story, that they threatened to share that recording if she did not continue to engage in sexual activity with this guy and with some of his friends. She
Wow.
says that went on for a while and she was afraid to tell anyone. And it continued until her father got a new job and the family relocated to some other place.
Oh my
That's
God.
trafficking.
Yeah.
They were getting paid, she was not. And once a week, she said that she had to go to the guy's house and engage in sexual activities with him and his friends because they were threatening to expose it.
Well, that's worse than doing the train they used to do. I don't know if they still
Mm-hmm.
do it or not, but that's
Mhm.
just the same.
Yeah.
And it
Mhm.
sucks because what, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Tell somebody,
Right.
Mhm.
regardless to I'm gonna be embarrassed, this is gonna happen. That
Mhm.
that too will pass, you
Yes.
know,
Mhm.
and people don't understand. It's okay. If this person is holding this over your head, take away their power.
Mhm.
Go
Exactly.
to my dad. You know what, Dad? I slept with this guy and they videotaped, and this is what they're doing to me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Help me. But they don't realize that they're so, what is it, that peer pressure. They're so scared that what people
Mhm.
think of them, and forget all that.
Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
not it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Now, even that, they're in school, so of course you're going to be called the slut. You're going to be called this. They're going to say, oh no, she slept with everybody. They're going to do that. They bully people.
Mhm.
They've been doing it for centuries. So don't give them that power. So
Right.
any young lady that's out there hearing our voices right now, if something like that is happening, even young men,
Yeah.
don't give them the power. Tell
Right.
someone, tell an adult, tell a counselor, tell someone what's going on. Don't give them the power. Even though it might be embarrassing, you might have more crying nights trying to get over this. But at the end of the day, it will go away.
Yeah.
And you're the victim. Don't think that you're not the victim. You were with somebody that you thought really cared for you. Because a lot of times they tell you they love you just to get you in bed. You know how us women are as girls growing up. We think, oh, he loves me. And so we're going to get a kitty cat up. But you don't need to give the kitty cat up. But if you do, and this happens,
It's okay.
tell somebody.
It's not okay, but tell someone. Yeah.
No,
Tell
it's okay to tell someone.
It's okay to tell.
It's okay.
And I
to
like
tell
that you
someone.
said that you're the victim, because
Yeah.
that is an issue, I think, a lot of times for individuals who've been trafficked. And
It's your fault. That mentality.
have to recognize that they are a victim. Oftentimes, they're not seen as such. When we see young women out prostituting, we see young girls out doing different things, we see people, a lot of times we're thinking, oh, they want to do that. I remember going to a training years ago when my daughter started high school. It was a big orientation, and they had all of the parents participate in different trainings. And because I train on this stuff, I was like, oh, I'm going to go to the human trafficking training to see what they say. And there was a parent in there who, when the trainer, was a police officer, and he was talking about how some of the ways young people get lured into trafficking, either sex trafficking, it could be labor trafficking, it could be all sorts of things that they get lured into. That they get lured into it a lot of times because someone gives them gifts. Maybe they, want the new pair of shoes that their parent can't afford.
I think that's the same kind of stuff that R.
Before you
Kelly.
know it, before you know it, they're being forced into doing things that they don't want to do. And this parent said, well, I just don't agree with that, because sometimes they're just about that life. That is basically saying that this person is not a victim. And that happens a lot of times. The young lady that the two of you were talking about, that the report was made, but instead of her being categorized as a victim, as someone in need, she was basically categorized as a perpetrator, as someone who was wanted.
Yeah.
The way that we stop this is through changing the vocabulary, the dynamic, how we view the individuals. They're victims. And they may be engaging in these things, but it's not because they want to. So they're victims. And when you see people as this is a victim, then the way you approach them is differently, because now you're trying to figure out how I can help you. If I'm thinking you're about that life, then hey, you're just about that life. You don't need my help.
Right. But you know what, Gloria, it goes back to the internet thing, the email thing, the trail that you read. When they were negative against this lady and saying all this negative stuff on her page, I would have probably deleted those comments, because to me, that irks other people on.
Exactly.
And so at that point, even if I had to just not not friend them for a long time, it didn't matter. At the end of the day, my child is missing and I need to get my child home. So I don't need this negative stuff. You don't know my child.
Right.
You don't know what situation she's in. She's saying she needs help. So if you're gonna doubt my life, my family, bye. I don't need you in my life, because you're influencing other people. So a person wouldn't have dared made that comment had they not saw the first one. Then here comes the second one. Then comes the third one. Now they all bashing. And no. When something like that happened, remove those people from your situation, or you remove yourself from that situation, because they're not there to help you.
I agree.
That's just so unfair. And life is just people are so mean right now. And that, they are. I don't know if the COVID got to them or something. I always blame the COVID on everything. But
I think a lot of it is social media.
Yeah.
It's easy to be a bully behind a screen.
So easy.
Yeah. And so those people,
it's the social media. They get to say what they want to say, and they're removed from it. But I agree with you. When an individual posts something that they're looking for their child or whatever, that first negative comment really eggs the others on. And so
Yeah.
you delete all of the negative stuff. And that woman, she eventually, she was trying to respond to people and saying, this is not the case. And she ended up closing the commenting on the post. But
Yeah.
fortunately, her daughter was 19 and she had a 1-year-old.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's the best thing for your mental stability.
Hmm.
I think is to just remove those negative people from your page. I mean, or
Yes.
even get off social media at this point. Make your posts. Make it where, like you said, no one can comment on it, and
Hmm.
just hey, call authorities if you know anything,
Right.
and just get the word out, get the baby's picture out, and so that way, in case somebody does see it, you know. And I think TikTok is probably right now. I would think TikTok would be the best way to go because those TikToks go nationwide,
They do.
everywhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would think that would be the best way. So how can we let people know that to be aware of their surroundings? Be cautious of these different little things that we discussed today.
I spoke on that the last time. Just being more cautious, honestly. Being aware, actually being aware. Sit to the back of the room. If you're not sitting with someone that you trust, almost insist to sit in the place where you can see everything, especially if you're new to those surroundings. Ask a lot of questions. Send people your location. Remember, I spoke about that the last time.
Mhm.
Send someone your location. Let someone know where you're going, even if it's something that you don't necessarily, let's say you're going somewhere where you've never gone. Send it to your mother. Send it to your friend. Share your location. None of us are too old to just share our location. There's so many apps that help us do that now. I think that's the best way to do it. And even in a restaurant, tell someone that this is a little skewed, a little strange. The waiter, I'm new here. This is the first time I'm here with this person. Just making little jokes like that. Hey, yeah,
Mhm. Mhm.
if you're uncomfortable, say it. Say something. Someone's going to notice. There are a lot of people who, when we talk about those, and I spoke about it last time, those Karens and all that. Well, sometimes, guess what? I would rather be a Kevin, a Karen, or whatever to save someone's life.
Right.
Absolutely. And Gloria, from your professional standpoint,
Mhm.
what would you suggest?
I think that one of the, I like that, making sure that you are sharing your location, that you are paying attention to your surroundings. I would say that we provide education, that we help people to understand that trafficking, human trafficking, I mean, it really is a big deal and it does happen in the United States, not just overseas. It's
Right.
not just what you see in Taken, those movies. It's not just that. There's labor trafficking that occurs.
Mhm.
Make sure that if you see something that looks odd, that you pay attention. My daughter tells me all the time that I'm nosy because I am. I tell people I pay attention, but I've taught her to do the same thing. When I was younger, my best friend and I, we used to always talk about how we don't go anywhere without letting people know. I am on the other side of 50, right? So, but I
Hey,
still,
wait a minute. I thought we was at the crust.
well, yeah,
I've
but
been
we look
holding my age
good.
so long, I haven't made it over there yet.
Yeah, but we look good.
You
But I
guys look
always
good.
let
Yeah.
people know when I'm going somewhere. I,
Mhm.
I've met people who are like, well, I'm grown. I don't have to tell anyone. Yeah, you don't have to, but it's not a bad thing. I was telling you before we started that I'm getting back into the kind of dating thing. And I went on a date probably 3 weeks ago, I guess. I did my research. It's like, yeah, you've given me your information, but I did my own research
Mhm.
and I shared everything with my network,
Mhm.
which includes my friends, my family, that this is where I'm going. This is this person, and this is the information that I found on this person. And if I'm not back, know your surroundings, know your people, make sure that you're checking in with people and tell what's going on. I've taught my daughter from the very, even before she could talk, tell me everything. Because that's the only way I can keep you safe.
Yeah.
Even if you're embarrassed by it, tell me. Even if you think I'm going to be angry, tell me. Because you may be encountering things that you think, my mom's going to be upset. My mom's going to, hate me for this. She's never going to love me anymore. I can handle this on my own. You can't. And even if I'm going to be upset, I'm still going to put your safety at the forefront. So I'm going to come in like the mama bear. I'm going to do what I need to do to protect you, and then I'll deal with my upset later. So paying attention when we see things that look out of order, that don't quite look right. There have been instances of flight attendants rescuing children. You have this young adult, this teenager who's with this older person. They may be their parents, but pay attention. Do they look comfortable? Do they look like, I really don't want to be here? And then saying something, asking questions. Because what's the worst that can happen? When you ask someone, do you need help? They're either going to say, I need help, or they're going to say, buzz off, get away from me.
Right.
But at least you've tried.
Right. Wow. Okay, guys. Well, I appreciate you being on the show, Gloria. We're going to keep doing what we can to help. I think I'm going to go back and see if I can get that telephone number that Clarice and that she had posted, or Sean had it posted. I think we'll put that on both of the shows, so that way if someone can refer to it, we have that was a nationwide number, so that way we can put that number there and people can go back to it and refer to it if they need it. Okay. Any other suggestions before we go?
I think we pretty much said it all. I honestly do. Yeah, just watch what you're doing. Watch your surroundings. Sit to the back of the room. Let people know where you are. That's basically it. It's that simple. Education, like you said. Sorry, education. Educate your children. Absolutely.
Well, Gloria, we want you to come back, girl. This was nice. I enjoyed it.
We have a few other subjects too.
Yeah. Oh, sound like she's on point. Okay, guys, we're gonna end the show right here. Until next week, right here, SKST Radio. Real Talk with Cammie, Grayson, and friends. Have a brand new friend. She's my old friend, brand new to Foster, but she's my old friend. Brand new friend, Miss Gloria Fobbs. Thank you so much for being on the show. And do you have any words of wisdom that you want to give before we go?
Just keep your head up, right? Keep doing what you're doing. I'm proud of you, Cammie, and all that you do. It's nice to meet you, Rome. And I just, say again, educate people, talk about this, because this is a real issue.
It is. It really is. Thank you, Gloria. Thank you for being on the show. I guess until next week, guys. SKST Radio, baby.
You're watching SKST Radio.